All right, let's jump straight into this explainer. We are about to look at one of the absolute wildest corporate showdowns in history. Let's unpack the anatomy of a massive financial takedown, the Sahara India Pariwar scandal. This is a crazy saga involving billions of dollars, millions of investors, and a very high-stakes standoff between a flamboyant billionaire and a relentless market regulator.
To kick things off, I want you to picture this. You're running a massive conglomerate, right? And suddenly, you're facing intense scrutiny from a powerful market regulator demanding detailed records of your investors. How far would you actually go to stall them? Like, what kind of delay tactics would you pull out to keep the authorities at bay?
Well, in a move of pure cinematic absurdity, the Sahara Group went ahead and sent exactly this to the SEBI office in Mumbai: 127 trucks carrying over 31,000 cartons. This caravan literally created a massive traffic jam outside the regulator's headquarters, and inside those boxes, over 3 crore, that's 30 million, hopelessly mixed up application forms and redemption vouchers. The regulator noted that all these documents were dumped after office hours on the very last day of a court-mandated deadline. It basically made them impossible to process efficiently, just a staggering logistical blockade.
Part 1. Rise of a billion-dollar empire.
To really grasp why Sahara resorted to sending a literal traffic jam of trucks to a regulator, you've got to understand the staggering scale of the empire built by Subrata Roy, the self-titled managing worker. It's an incredible contrast. You have this multi-billion-dollar conglomerate, but it was largely funded by the micro-investments of the working poor. We're talking daily deposits of just one single rupee from rickshaw pullers and tea stall owners. And that money was ultimately flaunted through ultra-luxury global acquisitions, like buying London's Grosvenor House and New York's iconic Plaza Hotel. It is a stunning juxtaposition of grassroots fundraising and billionaire extravagance. The sheer footprint of this company was massive. Supported by millions of commission-based agents out on the ground, this sprawling conglomerate eventually became the second-largest employer in all of India, right behind the Indian Railways. They started out with Sahara Finance in 1978, but man, they rapidly expanded into everything. They built the ultra-luxury Ambi Valley real estate project spanning over 8,000 acres. They launched an airline, Air Sahara, which they later sold off for over $500 million. They ran TV channels, newspapers. They even heavily sponsored cricket, outbidding competitors with a $9.4 million deal to sponsor the Bangladesh national team, on top of their huge investments in Indian cricket. They were literally everywhere.
Part 2. The Roshan Law Catalyst.
But you know how these things go. That entire invincible-seeming house of cards was threatened by the tiniest little catalyst. In 2009, this totally innocuous-looking complaint gets forwarded through the National Housing Bank and catches the eye of SEBI, the Securities and Exchange Board of India. A person named Roshan Lal flagged some questionable fundraising practices buried inside the IPO documents for Sahara Prime City. And honestly, that single complaint was the loose thread that began to unravel the whole shebang.
Part 3. SEBI versus Sahara.
So this sparks a massive chase by SEBI. Sahara's core evasion tactic relied on this really complex financial instrument called Optionally Fully Convertible Debentures, or OFCDs. Basically, the rule is, if you raise money for more than 50 investors, you need a formal prospectus and SEBI's explicit permission. Sahara bypassed this entirely. They used OFCDs to quietly scoop up billions from over 3 crore individuals, claiming, oh, these are just private placements outside SEBI's jurisdiction. Well, SEBI firmly disagreed. And that escalated into an epic standoff. In 2010, SEBI officially ordered the Sahara companies to stop raising money. Sahara fought back hard, taking the battle all the way to the top. But by 2012, the Supreme Court dropped a historic ruling backing SEBI, ordering Sahara to refund those massive sums. When Sahara kept missing deadlines and failing to appear in court, the hammer finally fell. By 2014, a non-bailable warrant was issued and Subrata Roy was arrested.
Part 4. The House of Cards.
Despite their deep political connections and immense wealth, the walls finally closed in. The Supreme Court expressed outright frustration at Sahara's endless evasion tactics. I mean, the literal truckloads of mixed-up documents, the missed deadlines. The court actually went on record and dubbed it a ridiculous game of cat and mouse, finally shutting down Sahara's legal maneuvering to enforce strict compliance. So the crucial point here is that the court mandated a massive refund of over 24,000 crore rupees, plus 15% interest. And that staggering amount eventually ballooned to over 25,000 crore. Why? Because as SEBI investigated, they found it incredibly difficult to trace the actual investors.
Massive sums were just left sitting unclaimed in SEBI's accounts while they tried to verify genuine subscribers among a sea of fictitious accounts.
Part 5. Dismantling the empire.
Now, the regulatory takedown didn't just stop at their real estate entities. Once the cracks showed, the contagion spread. The Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India stepped right in and decisively transferred Sahara's entire life insurance business over to SBI Life. They simply couldn't allow the financial instability of the parent group to threaten the life savings of everyday regular policyholders.
And the administrator's findings during that insurance takeover were pretty stunning. Official reports highlighted a total failure of the governance system, tracking the illegal diversion of over 78 crore rupees disguised as security deposits. The regulator formally concluded that the promoters were no longer fit and proper to manage an insurance company.
What you should really take away from this explainer is the sheer power of regulatory bodies when they persistently enforce compliance. Sahara used every trick in the book, right? Complex financial loopholes, jurisdictional arguments, literally burying investigators in paperwork. But methodical, persistent legal pressure from SEBI completely dismantled a sprawling $10 billion empire built on unregulated foundations.
As we wrap up, I want to leave you with this thought. If an empire this vast, deeply connected, and aggressively defended can actually fall to the strict enforcement of the rules, how will this reshape the way giant corporations operate tomorrow? The Sahara saga stands as a monumental warning. Absolutely no corporate entity is too big to face accountability.